All right.
Brice, Barney, speech.
It is June 6, 1944. The weather in Normandy, France is gloomy with overcast skies throughout the whole country. It is around 6:30 a.m. in France, where Nazi forces are calm and collected, not yet knowing exactly what is coming their way. At the same time, Allied soldiers were waiting for the time to strike, knowing they were putting their lives on the line for what they believed was the ultimate good for the country. The invasion of Normandy was the most historical and well-known event in history and will always be remembered. After much research, I ultimately chose this topic to inform the audience of the different events surrounded by the historical World War II invasion of Normandy. History truly repeats itself, so understanding the historical events that this country was involved in with the invasion of Normandy in 1944 is very, very important to understand. First, I will cover the preparation of the Allies in the invasion of Normandy. This will be followed by the explanation of the waves of attacks in the taking of Normandy. Finally, I will describe the outcome in the invasion of Normandy. According to Michael Haskey in a 2001 article titled "In Spite of Preparation, D-Day Remained a Gamble." Prior to the attacks of Normandy, the stockpiling of war materials has been accomplished, training of troops, both airborne and those who would hit the beaches, has been rigorous, and deception efforts had been remarkably successful. A tactic that was used in the preparation of the attack of Operation Fortitude, which was used to deceive German army. Operation Fortitude was a plan used by the Allies to trick Nazis into thinking the attack would happen somewhere else other than Normandy. With this plan, reinforcements were not sent back to Normandy from Hitler. The stockpiling of war materials and training troops was also one thing necessary prior to the invasion of Normandy. After stockpiling and training 10,000 aircrafts, 5,000 ships, and 3 million men were to take part in the effort that was related in the Normandy invasion. 170,000 of the participants were also combat troops that fought on the beaches. Additionally, Haskey included that there were some obstacles in the Allies' path to being successful during the invasion. One major obstacle was a month full of bad weather, making an attack difficult. Another obstacle was the tide of the ocean and swells of the English Channel. Weather was a major concern when setting a date for the invasion of France. Of the whole month of June, only 6 days would provide conditions good enough for landings. A list of weather requirements included winds not to exceed 8 to 12 miles an hour onshore and 13 to 18 miles per hour offshore. Minimum visibility of 3 miles for accurate naval gunnery, cloud cover no more than 60%, and these conditions were nearly impossible to meet at the same time, where the Allies would find a window for the best possible day. Other necessities for attack would include a low tide that was necessary to coincide with the first rays of daylight. With the low tide, another requirement was the rising full moon to accommodate for airborne operation. The full moon would ultimately shrink the amount of days possible for attack in June to only 3 days. According to Dr. Mildred Berman in a 1994 geographical review titled D-Day in Geography, the most massive undertaking of World War II was taking place early in the morning of June 6, 1944, on the beaches of Normandy, France. Royal Air Force night bombers were to destroy defenses pre-dawn before troops were to arrive at the beaches, followed by the bombings. American heavy and medium bombers would begin to strike at dawn. After the Navy used light to pinpoint the fire of its guns on the enemy placement, the goal was to have naval gunfire be the main cover for the troops on the beaches. After the Navy would use the light to pinpoint the fire of the enemy placement, over 425,000 Allied and German troops were killed, wounded, or missing during the Battle of Normandy. This figure includes over 209,000 Allied casualties and nearly 37,000 dead among the ground forces and a further 16,714 deaths among Allied air forces. The Allies did such a great job with the element of surprise that some Germans actually thought the invasion was a hoax, and Germans believed the weather was too chancy for large-scale attacks. Ultimately, the Germans' commanders believed that Normandy would be a diversionary and a main assault would be somewhere else. According to History.com staff in a 2009 article titled D-Day, Weeks After the Invasion, The Allies would fight their way across Normandy countryside, where fighting continued against the Germans' troops. By the end of June, the Allies would seize the vital port of Cherbourg, and the approximately 850,000 men and 150,000 vehicles would make their ways into Normandy. After the invasion, not only would have to fight against determined German resistance, but also the dense landscape marshes and hedgerows. By the end of August 1944, the Allies would liberate Paris and would liberate the country from the Germans. The Allies would then prepare to enter Germany, where Soviet troops would meet up with them, moving in from the east. In the end, Normandy invasion was a huge blow against the Nazis, where tides would turn against the Nazis. The German army would not be able to move east from France to build up Eastern Front against the advancing Soviets, causing the Nazis to surrender on May 8, 1945. In conclusion, history truly repeats itself. So understanding the historical events that our country was involved in the invasion of Normandy in 1944 is very important to understand. Now try and put yourself in the shoes of the men that stormed the beaches of Normandy in 1945. Try to understand the mindset of these men while waiting for their time to fight, and knowing they may be killed for what they believed is the right thing to do. These men can honestly say they lived their lives to the fullest, and were a part of something otherwise would have changed the world completely as we know it today.